What's up? Yichi and Lucy here. Gonna give you guys a quick story of when I bought pre-construction in 2020 and what you can look out for if you're considering buying pre-con. Let's jump right in. So I bought a condo townhouse in Richmond Hill for $1 million in Q4 of 2020. This was a beautiful house in a great neighborhood in a great subdivision. The house was around 1,800 square feet, had a backyard, 2 balconies, a huge terrace with a barbecue hookup. The garage had an EV charger for the car. Super modern, super beautiful finishes, and we had paid $150K down as a deposit, paid throughout 4 or 5 different increments, which is pretty standard with pre-construction. It was a beautiful home, and once we had paid our deposit, it was just a waiting game, and we were looking forward to moving into our dream home. But unfortunately, that never happened. Here's what happened. I don't need to read a script off of this one. I remember this like it was yesterday. So the builder gave us 3 occupancy dates, and the occupancy date is when the buyer can reasonably expect the house to be finished and move in. So we would drive by the house all the time, and it was essentially just a pile of dirt on the ground. It was a subdivision. Nothing had been constructed yet when we bought it. There were a few like model homes in their sales center, but nothing was built yet. So the first occupancy date went by, and they gave us a letter saying, hey, delays, whatever. Second one went by, same thing. Third one went by, and they gave us a letter saying unavoidable delay and that we had to pay an extra $200,000. Now, it made sense. This was during COVID. Construction costs did go up, which is the reason why they asked for more money, and they weren't getting their building permits due to COVID, and those were the reasons why they basically asked for more money. And initially, when I sat down with them, they seemed like reasonable folks, and I was like, you know what? Prices have gone up for everybody. Construction costs have gone up, so sure, I'll play ball. I'll negotiate with you. And I actually initially offered them half of their proposed amendment of $200K. I was like, you know what, I'll give you an extra $100,000. But then I came home and I thought about it some more, and we already had a signed contract, and they kind of amended it and said we want more money. There's nothing really stopping them from doing that again, even if I was to give them another $100K, right? Let's say a year goes by and they're like, you know what, construction costs have gone up again. Here's another amendment. Now I'm 100K, 1.1 million in, and they're asking for more money. So I thought, you know what, let's just get our mutual release, let's get our money back and go our separate ways. I was pretty furious at the time, which I think was a reasonable response from me. It's like, how can something like this happen in Canada? You have an agreement, you paid money, and now they're asking for more money. Things like this shouldn't happen in Canada, but alas, they did. So what happened next? So luckily, they gave us an option for a mutual release. So that's the option we went with. Mutual release, both sides are released from the contract and the buyer gets their money back. Fantastic. So I asked for the mutual release right away, and they kept on stalling, and they said, the mutual release will be ready, but it never came. So essentially they held on to our deposit of $150K for almost a year. I had to lawyer up, threaten litigation. I even got an interview with CBC News, and as soon as I told the builders that, they released our funds and we got our money back. So it was a year of them holding our deposits and 2 years basically waiting for a house that never came. Now, I was pretty furious at the time, but it was a blessing in disguise, truly. Look, I'm not saying don't buy pre-construction. I totally get the appeal of buying pre-construction. You're the first person in, it's yours, it's brand new, it's like buying a new car, I get it. All I'm saying is don't make the same mistakes that I made when buying pre-con. Here are 3 things that you gotta look out for. Number 1, the deposit money has to go to a third party, such as a lawyer, and that money has to be held in a trust account. If the money is stolen or whatever, at least you have some safety there because the money is held in trust. I've heard a few horror stories of builders running away with deposit money, and to be honest, I thought that was going to happen to me, but thankfully the money was held in trust and there's nothing they can do unless they want to go to jail. The second thing you want to look for is the reputation of the builder. Look at their past projects. How fast are they? Do they have good quality when they build homes? I don't know. I didn't even check my builder, and it turns out, to my fault, because I didn't check, that was actually their first project. My fault, really. Really was my fault. I had no idea. I had no idea to even look for that, to be honest. And the third thing is, do they have permits ready to go? The permit process is quite a nightmare in Ontario. It takes forever. There's lots of bureaucracy. So check, do they have permits ready to go? All of that can be found in the agreement of purchase and sale when you buy the property. And my realtor at this time wasn't helpful at all. She clearly didn't care what was happening and just wanted to make the sale. And this was ultimately one of the reasons why I decided to get my own real estate license and represent myself. I thought I could do it better, and I will do it better. I'll actually give a damn. So once I got my money back from the builder, I actually represented myself as a licensed real estate agent and bought my own house. But like I said, this was genuinely a blessing in disguise. Why? Well, when we had bought our house in 2020, we put down $150K, we would have had an $800,000 mortgage. And at that time in 2020, it would have been fine. It would have been like a 1-2% interest rate. We got approved, pre-approved rather, and it would have been like $4,000 a month on monthly mortgage payments. But because the house got delayed for 2 years and we never actually locked in on our mortgage rate, once the house theoretically would have been finished at our last occupancy date in 2022, mortgage rates at that time went to 5-6%. So now, if we had gone through with our original house, our mortgage payments on that $800K would have been like $6,000-$7,000 a month. And that is a very sizable increase just on interest alone. But luckily, everything happens for a reason. We now bought a house for $585K. So even though interest rates have gone up because our mortgage principal is smaller, it doesn't affect our monthlies as much. And like I said, everything happens for a reason, and this was genuinely a blessing in disguise. Because had the house have been built and we would have paid $800,000 at a 5% interest rate, I would have been forced to continue working as a software engineer, and I would not have had the opportunity to transition my career into something more risky, such as real estate. So everything happens for a reason, and Yichi, 2022 Yichi, don't be upset. Patience. So thank you for listening. It was a super valuable life lesson for me, and I'm super grateful that it happened. Everything happens for a reason. And now I hope if you're buying pre-construction, you know what to look out for. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.